Welcome to Savemake.com. Action, start. Today I want to speak about a topic which is living below your means, and especially we are going to speak about interest rates. So we are going to film this short explanation. And you know, I like to start with a story. So last year, my wife and I, we were looking to buy a used motorhome, an older one, about 20 year old. So again, the philosophy, living below your means. And we had discussions with the seller, and we could not conclude the deal, almost for a few $1,000s. So instead of selling to us, and getting out of this motorhome, which was not really fitting their lifestyle, they went to a dealer. They bought a $100,000 motorhome, but we are going to see that with the financing, they are going to pay 3 times the value of the motorhome. So from $100,000, now we're speaking about $300,000. So you see the escalation, you know, from getting out of a $30,000 value, which was not fitting their lifestyle. Now they're pledging $300,000 over a 20-year period, which I think it's absolutely crazy that they embark themselves in that journey that they didn't want, by the way. So I've committed, you know, to provide you some tools, and we are going to see how the interest rates are working. So on the screen, to the left of the video, you have an interest calculator, and we are going to plug some numbers. So for example, if you are asking for $1,000, and in the calculator it can work with any number, that's the good thing, is that you can plug really your numbers. So you put 10 years and a 10% interest rate. And you are going to see, so you are going to get the number of monthly installment and the amount. When you multiply one by the other, you realize that you are going to pay 1.6 times the initial loan value. So that's very important to have that in mind. And 1.6 over the period it's acceptable, I would say. But let's pretend you think that the monthly installment is too much. So you say, well, let's move to 20 years instead of 10. So go ahead, you plug the numbers in the calculator. And now you are going to see that from 1.6, you arrive at 2.3, which I think it's huge, because you may have noticed that when you move from 10 years to 20 years, the monthly payment is barely changing. And why? It's because the interests are become staggering. You almost reimburse no principal. You reimburse mostly in interest to the financial institution. So it's very important to realize that extending a loan is not helping you, which means that before you make a commitment, the thing which is at the base, it's how much money you need for this purchase that you want. And if you can go with a used one, or a cheaper one, or a smaller one, then the multiplier is going to apply to a smaller amount. And if you can increase your down payment, like 50% down, and you borrow only 50%, again, that number, which is here, is going to apply to a much lower number. Perhaps you need to wait a little bit, go smaller, less expensive, less operating cost also. But now let's pretend if the interest rate, instead of being 10%, is 13%. Okay, so go ahead in the calculator again, you plug those numbers, 10 years, 13%. you realize that the multiplier is 1.8. So I would say 1.6, 1.8, it's not too much of a difference. So you can see already that the interest rate has a lower impact on the total amount that you are going to pay than the duration, as we saw here. And to push the limit even further, 20 years, 13%, now my multiplier is 2.8. And you remember in the small story that I mentioned, which was a real life situation, I said they are going to pay 3 times. This is where we come to the 3 times. Very likely they had the dealer financing. By the way, just a small footnote. The dealer financing, sometimes they tell you, the dealer, oh, I can give you a bigger rebate if you finance through us. Why? Because they are going to get all this money that they would not have got if you were paying cash. So the rebate for dealer financing is not a good deal for you. It's a good deal for them, for the financial institution and for the dealer. So try to use this tool. It's going to be posted all the time. It's for your benefit. And as always, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask them through the comment section. The thing, the takeaway is how staggering the interest can be, especially if you extend the duration of the repayment. I want to thank you very much for watching this video, and more to come, of course, on savemake.com.